Groundhog Day rebooted to 106.
It's early for starters, and I mean, I slept well, thankfully, last night, but I don't know what to think or say entirely. The thing that I've been beeping out of every conversation that I've been having for the last few weeks, especially the last couple weeks, was that I got an atelier. If you don't know what an atelier is, it's like an artist's loft or a workshop, depending on how it's used. I found the perfect space in the perfect location with the perfect setup, where it was. I don't know if I want to show you, because I hadn't really fully decided how I was going to show this or do this, because today was the day I was supposed to sign the lease. And the original debate that I was having was when to actually tell you. Because if you've been following me for a while, this feels like a very appropriate thing to be talking about in so many ways around the 10-year anniversary of my vlogging with an intro character. This feels very almost on the nose. Yeah, I was just like, there are a couple of big questions. One, when do I share the news that I got a space? Is it when I sign the lease? Is it when I get the keys? Going to get the keys, I guess, July 1st, or at least have the right to move in July 1st. The other is how much do I show of the space? Because it was when I say it was the perfect setup, it was it was pretty sizable, and it was one that I could live in as well. And I was not going to say that I was going to live in it. Obviously, I was going to wink and nod, I'll stay here after a long day's work, like I ever have short days' works. Yeah, well, I guess I can tell you the story, basically, of how I got it and how I lost it, because this all kind of started with Jess, right? My friend Jess was looking for a new apartment. You know that, if you've been watching. We were out looking for one for a while. Not that long, actually. She found it, I think, fairly quickly, relatively speaking. On one of those days when we were out, we were actually outside the city looking at options in Montreuil, and man, the itch to get out was really big for years, for a long time. It's funny, people still leave pretty mean comments about me living in this tiny space. I don't know what they're thinking. It's a combination of things where it's either they think I need to grow up and get a real job and move out of here because they think that's how this works, or they think I'm not thankful enough for the space, despite thanking my landlady very publicly and profusely for letting me use this space for the last decade, not only in video form, but in 2 books now, in 2 books as well. Whatever, it doesn't matter. You can't make everybody happy. And it is tricky because I can't justify getting an actual apartment in Paris for a number of reasons right now. And this is what Jess and I were talking about, was that I famously do not like this neighborhood that I live in. It's not that it's a bad neighborhood. It's very beautiful and calm. It's that I have to travel a minimum of 30 minutes to see friends, to do most of what I do for work. Today, I'm going to have to cross the city 3 times, actually, just to try a place for lunch that my patrons voted on, to try an experience that they voted on, and then to go to a friend's birthday this evening is going to require me to cross town back and forth a minimum of 2 times, if not 3 times, depending on how the day goes. Because I have so much work to do, and I can't actually be away from my computer for, I think, as long as a lot of people think I can be. Whatever. I can manage that. I have managed that, I think, without complaint, generally speaking, for the last decade in Paris. I occasionally, when I'm walking around with my friends, will be in a part of the city, I'm like, oh, I wish I could live here. Oh, I can't wait to move. This, that. So I do whinge a little bit. But I think I've taken it pretty well on the chin, because, to be totally honest, if it wasn't for this place, my life would be over. I would never have been able to afford to move back to Paris. And it saves me money that I put directly back into the videos that I make. I basically pay a rent's worth of money on food every month, for testing my guide, for trying it out, for sharing, all that stuff. It's provided me with a real opportunity there, and I've been able to build a business off of it. So I think it's really important to reiterate this morning as I wake up just thinking about this. It's 7 in the morning. I'm very, very, very grateful for this space. And that's a big part of the reason why I struggle to even think about leaving, is because rent sucks. Like paying rent is terrible. And I think maybe that's part of the reason people get mad at me, is because I've been able to avoid it for so long. Then to hear me be like, yo, but I would like to pay rent. I get it. But I don't want to pay rent. It's just that I want to be close to my friends. I want to be able to host again. One of the major rule that I have, because even though I can use my landlady's space a little bit, which has been nice, and especially for her balcony, like being able to get a little bit of a horizon and some sanity, her one rule for me was that I couldn't host, and that's totally fine. I totally understand why she wouldn't want me bringing strangers over to have a party. But something that's very important to me, and has been missing for a long time, is the ability to host, is the ability to have people over. It's a twofold thing where it's, one, I don't have the space, but two, nobody wants to come to my neighborhood. And I think that if you don't live here, you don't appreciate how far away from my social life I really live. Literally the only time I see my friends out here is when they have a dermatology appointment. That's it. So that's that context. And we were talking about it, and it was that thing of like, I was like, you know what, like I can't justify a full rent for a number of reasons. I might be able to justify like a workspace, which is something that we've played with before. The timing hasn't been right, and I guess the timing's not right this time either, exactly. But the reasoning being that, like, if I were to rent an apartment, what I would have to do is, not only do I have to pay rent, but I have to probably double or triple my actual salary. What I take home is kind of the bare minimum, because I try to keep it all in the business. And last year we did give me a little bit more money, and it pushed me up in tax bracket. I barely crossed that line, and it was a significant amount and a big surprise. So that's fun too. There's been a lot of fun surprises lately, and this video is obviously going to be longer than the usual vlogs, because I'm just kind of filling you in on this whole thing. But basically, like, what the reasoning goes, in order to rent an apartment, you basically have to earn 3 times the rent. And in order for me to justify moving, like, I don't want to just move into another closet. Like, I need to move into a space that I can host. The rent for that is going to require me to at least double, if not triple, what I'm already paying myself, which means then I go up in tax bracket. I also go up in social charges. So it just balloons very quickly, where here's my salary going up, but now everything around that also goes up. And so it very quickly becomes unaffordable with where I'm at, which is fine. Like, I would rather pay the people on my team. I'd rather keep investing in my business. That's why I'm still in this space. That's why I haven't moved out for forever. I also appreciate my landlady, and I'm happy to look after the space for as long as she needs me to, no matter what happens. What I could possibly do is rent a workspace. If we could find a mixed workspace that permits me to stay occasionally. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So that's what we were talking about, Jess and I. And literally the next day, she found the perfect place. Like, she found this atelier that is sizable. It was kind of enormous, and it really opened my eyes to the possibilities of what we could do, because I already knew part of the reason that I need a space, and I'm actually not going to give up on this, is because we've been talking about launching a new podcast with a dear friend of mine. Then I'm like, well, it'd be easy to relaunch Garage Monologues, and I have a really fun theme. There's just a lot of really interesting transitions happening in friends' lives as they try to figure out what they're doing with their careers, with everything. So I thought it'd be a really fun season to follow my transition as well from this space into a larger podcast studio. And the space we found would be perfect. Perfect. I mean, maybe not perfect. Who knows? But like, they had a downstairs. So I will show you I'll show you the place, as much as it hurts me to do this now. The upstairs would have been perfect. First of all, just as an office space and hosting space. Had a full kitchen, like an American kitchen is what it said on the lease. Everything had been redone. She'd invested a lot into redoing the space. It was beautiful. They obviously had been living there for years before deciding to rent it out, and that's where I was going to put a giant table for another idea that I have, not just for hosting. The whole thing will be used for crafting and for storytelling and for multiple things that I guess we just won't talk about right now, because who knows what's going to happen. But then the downstairs was perfect for retrofitting into a podcast studio. Isolated, quiet. Obviously, we'd have to treat the walls and stuff for sound. But then with the storage next to it, also perfect for like hiding a space to like take naps occasionally, and also storage for like sets for podcasts. And it kind of twists my stomach up a little bit retelling this because, I mean, it's hard to imagine it being, I mean, I'm sure there's something better out there and I'm going to find it, but like, on the one hand, I wasn't really allowing myself to get too into this because like I guess I knew it was kind of unlikely. And so I put in my bid. We went and saw it a couple times. The neighbors were super nice and they were very accommodating and they were rooting for us. The landlady herself said that she was really interested. The thing was that, look, the French system is what ended up basically undoing this whole thing. Because they were initially a little bit worried about my numbers because my numbers are good enough for the space, but only just, right? So the rent is, it's reasonably expensive for what it is, but it was $3,800 a month, which would just wipe out my profit margin entirely. I think we were just barely on the cusp. Thing is, we grew significantly last year. Like things were looking good, and my numbers were looking good. And I went to my banker and I was like, I think like I'm gonna need a garant, like or a caution, whatever. You have to put down a deposit that's kept in escrow for the duration of the lease, so for like 3 years. So I was gonna need that, and then I was like, to fit the space out and so forth, I would like to look into the option of getting a business loan. What are my options there? And she was like, just give me your numbers. The numbers looked good. She was very impressed. She's like, yeah, no problem. We're definitely gonna be able to give you a loan. I was like, great. So like, I was like, all lights are green across the board. When I submitted my dossier, and a week or so later, the potential landlords delayed another day, and then they finally called me during the beer festival. And I don't know if you can see it. I think you can see it when I got the call. I was like walking into the beer festival. I was just trying to get that entrance shot, and then her number popped up, and I was like, oh, so finish the shot, go outside, take the call. And she was just like, we've thought about it. It was really hard for us to decide because we were very impressed by you and one other person, and we really like you both, but we would like to take you on because we think that you're worth a little bit of risk. And I was super happy about that, obviously, blown away. I was dying for a couple of days waiting for them to tell me, and I was like, really? We were walking around filming for My Pocket with our new intern, and I just kept being like, if they say no, I'm gonna die. And then they said yes, and I was super excited. I'd only told like close friends and then a few other people that were like at the beer festival, and kind of pitched this whole idea of like how I was gonna use the space and everything, and it was very exciting. And then, obviously I'm wanting to tell friends and capture their reactions, but I don't want to tell the world yet because I don't have it for sure yet. And I was trying to figure out what's the best way to go about doing this. Basically what happened was like the bank came back and like, actually, we can't give you a business loan because you're a film production company, and those are very market dependent. You need recurring revenue in order to rent a place, and film studios don't have that. And I was like, did you look at my numbers? Because a significant portion of my revenue is literally recurring revenue. Like Patreon is a subscription service. People show up and pay every month. That's what this is. And granted, it's not everything, but they don't understand how business. It turns out my bank doesn't understand how business works. And so I demonstrated the fact that they were wrong. And then she was like, oh, well, when I put it in computers say no. Because apparently their system just rejects the classification of my business for a business loan regardless. So she put in smaller and smaller numbers and it said no. And then she was like, well, maybe we can do a personal loan and you can invest that in the company. And I was like, that's not really what I want to do, but let's at least see what the options are. And the thing is that where things are at right now, like things are very good, but things are super chaotic. Like everything's happening all at once. I actually did get the books finally, and I was going to do an unboxing for that today. That was kind of my thought. And things are like very good, but it's just, it's business. It's like things are, they're great, but they're tight. And I was like, and I talked with my accountant, I talked with my financial advisors, I talked with everybody who could talk me out of this. And when I laid out the business plan and where we were at, it was just green lights across the board, even for my accountant, who I absolutely expected to be like, that's a lot of overhead to take on, was very impressed to the point that he asked, like, how did you do it? Like, how did last year go so well? Which I can explain. I actually know how and why, but that's for another story. He was just like, yeah, you can do it. It'll be tight, but you could definitely do this. It's not that big of a risk. And so then we were like, well, you know what? Why don't we like look at like we need a small loan to make sure that I need to make sure that I have the money to cover the first little chunk, because I've learned my lesson for not having something built up in the bank. And while we would have savings, the original plan is to move into a place in like September. We would have savings for this by September. We don't have that now. It's fine to take out a business loan to cover that spread, and then you pay it back as soon as you can, especially if we're going to need to do a little bit of outfitting for the podcast studio. We want to have some cash on hand for that. So that was kind of the idea, but that included the caution, the caution, the guarantee of the rent. So this is the fence I was kind of riding, where I was like, I can make this happen in other ways, but I want to make this happen in an actual, hopefully, ideally, the cost-efficient way. Business loan, out. Personal loan, let's find out. I have spent the last 2 weeks emailing and calling and dropping in on my banker and not making any progress on this. And when I say the last 2 weeks, of course, I mean, there was a week in there where I was in Singapore and I couldn't physically do this anymore. But I was physically stopping in on the office, which she found very uncomfortable, which is fine, because clearly I needed to make her even more uncomfortable to get anything to move. Just because, like, I don't know, the way that things flow, the way that it goes, they just like, I'm like, hey, I need this for my business. And they're like, okay, well, we'll get it to you in like, I guess when we have time. And I'm like, no, I have to sign a lease. Like, this needs to happen now. She kept telling me, like, yeah, I'm going to do this. Okay, well, you're going to leave. I'm going to put these numbers in and do the things, and then I will email you. And you can look at my email thread. I don't think she's emailed me for a month or two. Like, it's been a long time that she's actually emailed. The only time I've gotten any progress on this is when I've physically gone in. Because now that I've been back, I've been calling. I've been really busy. I was out in Versailles filming for 2 days. Like, I haven't been able to actually physically go in. So I've been calling, never getting through, always going to another colleague. Those colleagues being like, oh, let me see if she's available. Oh, I'm sorry, she's in a meeting, but she said she'll call you back. Is she ghosting me? What is happening? I don't know. So anyways, last night the landlady was like, hey, like, I need not only, I don't know if they're getting cold feet anyways or what was going on, but she was like, hey, like, we need the garant, right? But also we're going to need an additional insurance. You can go through this service. The service she linked me to is only good for personal rent. It's not good for a business rent, which I told her. I was like, hey, that service isn't, of course I can find an insurance if you need it. It's a little last minute to be putting this in 12 hours before I'm signing the lease. And I probably made the mistake of being like, what I said was like, I kind of need to know what paperwork you need because my bank has been dragging their feet, and I'm going to need to go in and get all this sorted in the morning. And then she responded, was like, oh, we're very sad to say this, but we're going to have to rescind our offer on the lease, basically, in French. So, you know, there's my translation for you. And I just responded, I understand these things happen. I'm disappointed. The space was perfect. Thank you. Like, what am I supposed to say? Because she didn't even tell it wasn't even that she gave me a reason. She just said, like, things have happened, like something came up and we can't, what she said was something came up and we can no longer rent the space. So maybe they also just were heartbroken to let go of the space. Like I said, they've been living in it for a long time, and they were just giving it up because they're not spending time in Paris really anymore. You know, so maybe they just had a change of heart, and they have every right to do that. And that's just the disappointment side of it. The frustration side of it is, of course, the need to fire my banker and find a new bank. And I've obviously complained about my bank in the past, but generally it's just kind of like this nuisance in the background where it's like, it's annoying to deal with, but it generally doesn't like ruin things for me. And now I can't clearly directly say that it ruined this for me, but it ruined this for me, which is really, really hard because it's literally the perfect space. And again, it's like this, there's some risk involved. Molly put it really well, where she said, it's an ambitious risk that we could rise to. And I really agreed with that. And I was really, I'm excited. I was excited for it, but I was a little nervous, but I was also so ready for it. And yeah, I'm very tired. The trip to Singapore was awesome, but it was like go to bed at 3 a.m., get up at 8 a.m. and do it all over again. It was a lot of work, and also just a lot of meeting people and going around. And then I landed and went out to Versailles to film for the Golf National, which is very cool that they hired me to come make a reel for Paris in My Pocket for that. Yeah, I basically just got Cooper and got home last night. And so I'm pretty exhausted. I'm doing okay. Otherwise, like I'm genuinely like, there's so many cool things happening. Like I'm excited about the book launch. My sister's coming to visit, which is super, super exciting. You know, but it's just disappointing because I was really looking forward to showing her the space, and I was really looking forward to figuring that out. it doesn't put me back from like getting a space, in the sense that like I know it's the right move now because I've seen how it makes total sense for my business, and in every other way, like personally, professionally, socially, just life stage wise, it's time. Like I absolutely need to find a space. It's just really demonstrated how hard it's gonna be. Because the French system, or at least the bank is making it hard. Everything makes it hard. It's nothing about this is easy. And that's just the way it is, I guess. But like, if I was a traditional business that the French system understood, I would just need to submit a business plan, and like comparatively, it seems like it would be a lot easier. But given that nobody understands what I do for a living, I can't even explain my way around it, and it doesn't matter if I am like, look, I have the money. They're like, yeah. So it's gonna be tough, but we're gonna figure it out. And I guess maybe it's a blessing because it was a lot coming on my plate all at once. And now that space is a little bit more cleared, and maybe we can take some more time. So my camera just overheated, which has been doing a lot lately. I don't know why that's happening. Never seemed to happen before. Anyways, maybe my camera's telling me I've gone on long enough. Long video, that gives you the whole story. I won't say I'm like devastated by this, but I'm definitely like, I don't know, I gotta process it. I'll figure it out. The cool thing is we have some people lined up to help with all of this. And like, I think that's the other great disappointment is like, I think I may have found some good partners for this. And I think like everything looks really good. And it's just such a big wrench in the gears, but we're gonna overcome it. We're gonna figure it out. And I think it's gonna provide for some really, really cool experiences. I'll share more of the vision for what I think this podcast studio and space and what, like, there's a lot of really fun stuff, and I really think it's gonna be a boon for my community, and I'm very, very excited for that. But we have to get there first, and I just feel like at every step, no matter what I do, I'm just punished for trying to do something positive and constructive. I feel like our system is geared to reward scam artists and grifters and punish people that are just trying to actually add value to the world. And this isn't helping me feel better about that, but I'm still going to keep trying, and I'm going to make it work. I'm going to go try this restaurant now, and I'm going to go to this experience this afternoon, but this video is already long enough. So if you want to know whether or not I liked the restaurant, I will post it in my Instagram stories. You're going to have to go see that as soon as this video drops, basically. And I will also obviously add it to my guide, but I will tell my patrons in the next Patreon post whether or not I liked it. So it's not going to fall through the cracks. Same thing with this experience. It's a wine tasting experience. I'm sure it'll be fun. I'm not in the mood to make like a fun video. I'm sorry. I just want to, I will fulfill my obligations today, but like, I think this is it. This is just over for the day. And I'm not going to have a patron producer today either, because I don't want anyone to feel sad that they were associated with the curse that was today. And I will see you bright and early tomorrow morning for a better rested, happier, more fun video. Tomorrow we'll unbox the books tomorrow. I'm very excited to see that. I just don't want to ruin it with today, with this. See you tomorrow.